Hey everyone, and welcome back to another MallDoc. I hope you all had a great summer. I want to start by apologizing for the long delay in getting this video out. I did a lot of traveling this summer, and of course we're now back to that busy time of year again. But thank you for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Speaking of, in today's video, we've traveled out to the western US, where we're going to visit a thriving and unique shopping center at the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas. That's right, the Grand Canal shops at the Venetian. The shops are unlike any conventional mall I've ever been in, with an artificial Italian streetscape built around a literal canal with real gondolas offering rides, which of course I had to do. I put out a poll a while back asking you guys what you wanted to see in MallDoc 11, and this is what won. So I'm excited to present the Grand Canal shops at the Venetian. Sit back, relax, and let's go check it out.
Shopping, dining, entertaining, the Grand Canal shops at the Venetian.
I honestly don't know where we're going. Oh, this way. Oh wait, no, it's that one. We're on the down elevator. As we make our way into the mall, let's start on the history of the Venetian and Grand Canal shops. While the Venetian is a bit of a newer resort, its story begins all the way back in 1952, in a Las Vegas known for its upscale casinos and performers like the Rat Pack. That year, a glamorous casino known as the Sands opened on the Strip, which would grow to become an icon of the city. However, as the 20th century progressed, Vegas would begin to lose its upper-class image, for better or for worse, and the dated Sands would grow to no longer fit the modern Strip of the 80s and 90s. The decision was made in 1996 to close the Sands for good, which would happen on June 30th of that year. However, plans were already in the works for a brand new casino that would be built on the former site of the Sands, the $1.5 billion, 6,000-room Venetian Resort. I want to mention that I ended up shooting footage here at the Venetian on 2 different days, 2 weeks apart, so I apologize if things feel a little disjointed at times, but I've tried my best to fit it all together in the right way, so stick around, because we're almost to the actual canal. On April 14, 1997, businessman Sheldon Adelson, the owner of the former Sands Casino, held a groundbreaking ceremony for the Venetian on its now cleared site, with the goal of showing the project's progress to potential restaurant and retail tenants. Construction continued throughout 1997 and 1998, with a scheduled Phase 1 opening date for the resort in 1999. Other than its upscale suites and casino gaming, there was one more big draw for the Venetian, that being the Grand Canal Shops, a high-end, ornately themed mall, which would feature its namesake canal running through the center of the facility, with gondola rides being offered for shoppers to take along the canal. The center would be managed by mall developer Forest City Enterprises, who operated two other malls in the Vegas area, the Showcase Mall and Galleria at Sunset, both of which still operate today, with the latter being featured in an upcoming MallDoc. I could honestly spend an entire episode just detailing the incredible architecture of the Venetian, and the canal shops are just a small part of the impressive resort. Anyway, as time went on, construction continued on the Venetian and its stunning shopping center, as excitement grew across Las Vegas and the country. Despite permit troubles plaguing the Venetian's opening, the first part of the $1.5 billion resort would officially open after a 2-week delay at 1 in the morning on May 4th, 1999. However, one of the sections of the Venetian not yet opening was the Grand Canal Shops, which would officially open to the public on June 16th, 1999. On its first day, only about 30 stores were open inside the mall. However, this number would continue to grow, rising to 50 by the 4th of July, with most spaces inside the mall operating by the end of the year. The final cost of the mall itself had come to $300 million, the equivalent of about $579 million today, and early tenants included shops like Ann Taylor, Banana Republic, Kenneth Cole, Madame Tussauds, and Sephora, with many other high-end Italian retailers that I'm not even going to try and pronounce. Needless to say, the Grand Canal Shops were an immediate success, catering to resort guests and outside shoppers alike. And in addition to the mall's initial success, plans were already in the works for an expansion that would introduce even more shops and retail to the already thriving resort property. Another mall, another lunchtime, another food court. Here's that gondola ride I mentioned earlier. It's really cool to see the mall from inside the canal itself, and while you're riding, the gondolier actually sings in Italian as you go up and down the canal. It's really fun. It was a nice touch. I don't know what I was really expecting, but that was super fun. In April of 2004, it was revealed that the Grand Canal Shops had been sold by Las Vegas Sands, Sheldon Adelson, and the owners of the Venetian for approximately $766 million to Chicago-based General Growth Properties, or GGP. This would transfer full ownership and control of the mall to GGP, who already owned the Boulevard and Meadows malls in the Vegas suburbs. Apparently, it was also reported that GGP's bid topped one from the Mills Corporation, another big name in mall development that you probably recognize. I can't imagine the Canal Shops as a Mills mall, and I just thought it was worth mentioning. A few months later, in September 2004, to little fanfare, construction began on Las Vegas Sands' newest resort, which would be located directly north of the current Venetian and would share many facilities with the existing resort. The Palazzo Resort would contain over 3,000 rooms, as well as another upscale shopping mall named the Shops at Palazzo. Like the Grand Canal Shops, the Shops at Palazzo would contain many boutiques and luxury stores, including an 85,000 square foot flagship Barney's New York store. GGP would also purchase the Palazzo, bringing the total transaction of the two shopping centers to around $1.5 billion. Construction on the Palazzo would continue, with an anticipated opening date set for the first quarter of 2007. People were initially skeptical of the new resort, as its design aesthetic was seemingly much more underwhelming than that of its counterpart, simply opting for a more generic luxury hotel vibe than a themed experience like the Venetian. Either way though, after some slight delays, the Palazzo and Shops at Palazzo would celebrate their grand opening on January 17, 2008, and only time would tell if they would see the same success as the Venetian. Now we're not quite done, as I want to go back in time a bit and see some areas of the mall that I saw on my initial visit about 2 weeks prior to the footage you've been watching. So let's head back in and check it out. Okay, it's probably not surprising that, while not as flashy and despite early criticism, the Palazzo would be another successful resort on the Vegas Strip. At some point after opening, the combined Venetian complex would eventually merge the Shops at Palazzo with the existing Canal Shops and bring them together under the Grand Canal Shops banner. Into the 2010s, nothing of huge notability would occur at the shops, with GGP selling half of their interest in the mall in 2013 to a joint venture with TIAA CREF. That's a mouthful. On March 26, 2018, it was announced that General Growth Properties would be acquired by Brookfield Property Partners, another U.S. mall developer, and would take over operations of the Grand Canal Shops, along with the rest of GGP's portfolio. Barney's New York filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on August 6, 2019, and announced that they would close all of their locations, including their flagship store at the Canal Shops. Despite this, though, the mall continued to thrive, closing temporarily in 2020 as Las Vegas and the world took a hit from the pandemic, but both would eventually rebound. In January of 2021, Sheldon Adelson, the original developer of the Venetian Resort, would pass away at the age of 87, and just months later, Las Vegas Sands announced that they'd be selling their Vegas properties for $6.25 billion to Vici Properties and Apollo Global Management. Vici would acquire the land for $4 billion, and Apollo would get operation of the properties for $2.25 billion. That sale was finalized in February 2022, bringing the Grand Canal Shops to where we see them today. That is the Fashion Show Mall. I might try and go there, we'll see. It's got like a super fancy Neiman Marcus and Macy's, and it's a really nice mall. While editing, I somehow realized that despite visiting the Canal Shops twice, I never captured any outro footage. So here's part of the intro again, I guess. This won't happen again, I promise. Anyways, I'll be the first to admit that the history of this mall isn't the most interesting I've covered on the channel, and the production of this video has really made me think about whether or not I want to cover thriving malls like this in the future. All future plans aside though, the Grand Canal Shops really is an incredible shopping center, and the amount of detail put into the design and architecture of the mall is mind-blowing to me. With all that said, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Sorry again for the delay, but I'm happy to say that my next few videos only get more interesting from here. MallDoc 12 is up next, where we will indeed remain in Vegas to see the Fashion Show Mall, a huge, bustling megamall located literally just across the street from the Venetian. I'm excited for it, but until then, thanks again. I hope you all had a great summer, and I'll see you at the next mall.